Welcome back. So a while ago, before I did the YouTube machine, I did a section on my blog called Featured Maker. I now want to reinvent that and bring it back onto YouTube and put it into a video format. Now my first victim is Chris Cute. He's another YouTuber. He's got a really great channel full of tips, tricks and projects and various other things that he does on his channel. The thing is with Chris, he's a great supporter of the community. He promotes other people's videos before he promotes his own, so it's my turn to make him a featured maker.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Chris. Welcome to my shop. Box joints. Really a nice joint to be able to do, and it's a pretty strong one as well. There's a lot of jigs out there that you can see videos on, but some of them actually are, they're pretty complicated. And to be honest with you, doesn't need to be complicated. Stick around. I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy box joint jig. Coming up next. You guys be good. Take care. Get out in your shops, make that first cut, and get something done. I'll talk to you later.
Hey Chris, first off, thanks for doing this. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Chris Cute. Let's see. I was born in New England, here in New England. I was born in Rhode Island. Lived all over the country. Ended up settling back here. I currently live in Connecticut. I am married, have a son. And professionally, I am now retired. I don't work for anybody else except the woman I've been married to for the past 30 some odd years, and she's demanding enough. So, honestly, I do woodworking as more of a hobby. Occasionally, I sell some stuff, but I don't rely on it for an income. So, yeah, basically a hobbyist woodworker.
I think everyone wants to know, what's your profession?
Professionally? Going back to since I was a kid, I guess. I started out in restaurants, working in restaurants, and actually, my surprise to folks, I was learning to be a chef at the age of 16, cooking. But at the same time, I was pursuing what I knew was going to be, or what I wanted to be, my eventual career, which was theater. I was an actor for many years, and went to school for such, and actually have my college degree in theater. Needless to say, that doesn't pay the bills. So when I got done working, I did work as a professional actor for several years, but in the meantime, I was still supplementing my income because I had to eat with the work that I did in restaurants, and so I ended up working my way into management in restaurants and became a general manager of one. I got tired of doing the restaurant work and had a friend who was the program director at a local radio station, and I ended up combining the need for a constant paycheck and my desire to do some sort of performance art, and I got into radio. Got into radio as a disc jockey. I've had other jobs. I also worked when I was in college as a painter, but that's really the only trade job I ever relied a paycheck for. But I got into radio and ended up getting into management of radio, and ended up heading up being the program director for over 4 radio stations for a group of stations nationwide. I won't mention any names, and I worked for that company for 13 years. While I was doing that, I also started my own consulting business, where I was consulting other radio stations, making money that way. And along the way, I was doing a lot of professional voiceover work too, which really paid good money. I had a number of television commercials that people have most likely heard me on, just they didn't know it was me, which is fine. It can stay that way. But yeah, and I did well there, which is why I was able to retire at such an early age. Yeah.
Anyways, obviously you've been into woodworking, so how long have you actually been woodworking?
Oh, geez. How long have I been woodworking? Do I have to tell you the amount of years? How about if I just go with been woodworking of some sort since I was a child? And that's, I'm not being facetious about that. Honestly, when I was like 5, 6 years old, I was, pounding nails into things. But in earnest, when I started woodworking, I really developed an interest in learning the craft when I was in my early teenage years. So I would say I started to get serious about woodworking when I was around 13, 14 years old. Yeah. So it's been quite some time between then and now. But yeah, so it's been a while.
So tell us a little bit about your workshop.
My shop? Oh, well, I have converted what would normally be a 2-car garage into a home wood shop. So that's where I keep all my tools. That's obviously where my bench is that I'm sitting on right now.
Nice. So it's not exactly a large workshop. There's a few jokes going around the internet that you've got to trek a large amount of distance to get from one side to the other. That's not true? Okay. Without giving too much info, whereabouts do you live?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I live in Connecticut. I have a home here, 2-story home. That needs to be painted. That I don't want to do. I live about 45 minutes outside of New York City, and you wouldn't know about where I live because I actually I live in the woods. And if you want, I tell you what, if you're in the mood, let's go out back, and we can finish this up out there if you want. Let's go. Here we go. Isn't that better? Yeah, it's nice out here.
Okay. Let's go there. YouTube. What was your first project that you did, you produced on YouTube?
YouTube. YouTube. Okay, if we're going to open up that can of worms, let me first of all say I don't do YouTube full time, and by that I mean I don't do YouTube and didn't get into YouTube to make any kind of living off of YouTube, which is rather funny. Some people's perceptions of what they think YouTubers make is rather funny. But no, I don't do it seriously as a supplement to an income or anything like that. I have very selfish purposes for why I do YouTube. But I do it because I hope I help somebody, and I also hope that I'm part of the inspiration some people find. And even if it's just one person, it's worth it to me. But quite honestly, I do YouTube just because I'm having fun. That's it. Now, as far as the first project I did on YouTube, which I believe was your initial question, the first project I ever did on YouTube was a Adirondacks. I always have a hard time saying that. Adirondack style table build that I did for my brother, and I was going to record it for him anyway because I wanted to let him see his little brother, make this table for him, because I had a slab of wood that was this is going to sound weird, but it had a sentimental meaning, this slab of wood for my brother and I. And and I know that sounds strange, but how do you get sentimental about a piece of wood? But this was a piece of wood from our youth, when he and I, because my brother and I are pretty close, and we did a lot of work together for our father. My father has since passed away, and I found this piece of wood that he and I cut when we were kids. And I wanted to document it, and I wanted to put it, and I just figured, YouTube, first of all, I didn't expect, anything out of YouTube. I expected, I looked into it, and, hey, this might be fun. Let's just go ahead and do this. And I never, I was happy when I had 10 subscribers, because I never expected it to turn into anything. But the first project I did, was for my brother. It was an Adirondack style table build that I made for him. It was, I think, a series of 7 or 8 videos it took me to actually complete the table. So, it wasn't a traditional 7-minute do it in one video kind of thing. It was a series that I did. So, that was the first stuff I did on YouTube.
That's a great story. So, going a little bit deeper, do you remember your very first project you ever did? Do you still have it?
My first project was a project I made for my mother. And I remember I did it all on my own, and I was like super proud. And I found some wood in my dad's shop, and I managed to cut miters on it enough to make triangles like this. And on the bottom of it, I glued sheet metal, and I said they were bookends, so that you could slide, two of them underneath and hold the books straight. I gave it to my mom. She was incredibly impressed, and I was incredibly happy with myself. And yeah, I don't know where those are. My dad probably burned them in the fireplace, but no, I don't still have the first project I ever made. But that was obviously, and I say it's the first project I ever made, only because I think it's the first project I actually put finish on. The actual first project I ever made was probably a tree fort. But if you're looking for like simple project that was actually useful, to somebody other than, an 8-year-old, then yeah, it would have been the bookends for my mom.
Nice. I think we all made tree forts when we were kids. Well, I did anyway. Do you only do woodworking? Do you do metalwork? Do you do electrical with your projects, or is it mainly woodworking that you do?
No, primarily I'm a woodworker. But that doesn't mean I'm oblivious to other skills or trades or crafts. If you handed me a welder and some steel, I could put something together. But I'm not as proficient at that as I would be with woodworking. But I'm also a homeowner, and if something needs to be fixed in my house, I'm pretty confident I can do it because I have done it. Everything from roofing to electrical to plumbing. I'm not licensed to do these, so I don't do it. I've never done it professionally. Like I mentioned earlier, the only trade job I've ever had was I was a painter during college. But no, I know enough about household stuff to fix pretty much anything that goes wrong with a house. The only time I ever call somebody to help me is when I need a second hand, because I think I pretty much know how to do anything that has to do with a home. As far as an actual useful trade skill, though, besides woodworking, nothing that I'm really that proficient at, to be honest with you, no. But I'm not oblivious to the other crafts. I'm just not as good.
So going back to YouTube, what's your camera setup? What video editing software do you use? While I'm at it, do you have an assistant that helps you produce your videos?
Well, I started out using an iPhone. And that's what I recommend most people start out with. Because you can do it. Today's phones are pretty good when it comes to capturing images. high definition images, and even the audio reception on most cameras has improved greatly. But currently, I use a Canon Vixia, an HFR 700. Has been the mainstay for me for quite some time. But I just purchased a Canon DSLR. I bought the T6i. And I'm in the process of learning that. So I'll be using that in my videos upcoming. As far as editing software I use Power Director, Cyberlink Power Director, in case somebody wants to look that up. It's a good software. It's a major upgrade. I was using Movie Maker to begin with, but I upgraded to Power Director. My microphone is... it's an Audio Technica shotgun microphone that I use in my videos, and I do that primarily just to keep the echo down, because working in a garage, I tend to get a lot of echo, and it helps reduce that.
Yeah.
But no, I everything you see is done by me, myself, and I. I don't have any assistants. My wife couldn't care less. She's not helping me out. So no, I don't have any helpers. What you see is 100% from me. So if you like it, great. If you don't like it, yeah, you can blame me because it's my fault.
So what made you decide to actually produce online content? And while I'm there, did the maker community surprise you in any way?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it was basically just to chronicle that table build for my brother. And just because I thought, I did it kind of on a lark, thinking it would be fun. But yeah, that's why I started making YouTube videos, and have continued ever since, because yes, there was surprises that came along with that. I was totally oblivious to the community that involves the maker community. Before I started YouTube, I had no clue. When I was living in Florida, because I lived in Florida prior to living in Connecticut, I had a couple neighbors that used to enjoy woodworking, and I could go over their house or they could come over to my shop, and we used to pal around like that. But since I moved back to Connecticut, I didn't know anybody and hadn't met anybody that was even remotely interested. And so finding like-minded people was a major surprise. But I got to be honest with you, if there's a benefit that I've received from getting started in YouTube, it's not the videos, it's none of that. It's the people I've got a chance to meet, because there are some amazing people out there. And I don't mean just good craftsmanship. I'm talking about good people. So yeah, that was a major surprise and a huge plus. You can't put a price tag on that. This community and the people that I know and that have become involved with it, and the people that continue to be added to it, just amazing, really, just amazing.
What's your favourite project you've made so far? And also, what's your favourite tool if you have one? What is it?
Oh gosh, that's like asking which one is your favorite kid. I don't actually have a favorite project. If I had to say my favorite project ever was, then my answer is always going to be the same. It's going to be the last one I just did. So yeah, my favorite project I ever did is the last one I just did. You know, so and once I do another one, well, then I'm going to kick that one to the curb, and the new one will be my favorite project. If you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I really don't have a favorite project that I did, or that I feel like I deserve a medal on my chest for making. It's just I have fun doing what I'm doing. So whatever I made last was the best time I had. As far as I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Do you have a favourite tool? If so, what is it?
Oh, favorite tool. No, I you know what, I hate to be so vague, but I really don't have a favorite tool. I have tools that I obviously use more than others. I mean, I think like most people that do woodworking anyway, the tool I use the most is my table saw, but it's I wouldn't say it's my favorite tool. It may be my current most useful tool, but yeah. No, I don't claim to be, a master wood turner, so I can't say a lathe. My favorite tool is the tool that I need that's going to help me get the job done. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but I really don't have a favorite tool. I love all my tools equally, just like my children. I only have one son, so that's not hard.
That's a funny one. I like that. So what inspires you, Chris?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I get it from everywhere. A lot of it I get from out here, and it's not necessarily that I walk up to a tree and get inspired, but the serenity of living where I live and being able to walk out into these woods and just kind of, bring my morning cup of coffee with me to get my head right, allows me the kind of thinking to inspire me. So it's very relaxing, very opens me up. So I get a lot of inspiration out here in the woods, but I got to be honest with you, I get a lot of inspiration from other people because, as you know, this community is so very inviting and so welcoming. It's hard not to be inspired by people that have that kind of mentality. So I get a lot of inspiration from the people that surround me, whether it be in the virtual world or maybe on a Google Hangout or something. So yeah, I get inspiration from everywhere. And sometimes inspiration hits you when you're not expecting it. The only thing I can say about that is it just takes the right frame of mind to get it. You got to be willing to accept it, and I try to keep myself there if I can. I'm not always successful, but I give it a try. So, inspiration, I can't point to a single place because it comes from everywhere.
So what do you have coming up in the near future? What projects have you got coming?
My next project? You know what? I tell you what, let's head back inside. That'll give me a chance to think about that for a second, and maybe I can come up with a better answer than the one I currently have. I doubt it, but we'll give it a try. So what do you say we head back inside? You want to?
Yeah, sure.
Great question. Even I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I kind of go wherever my whim kind of leads me. I don't, I probably should, but I don't have written plans of what I plan to do this week, and I don't have things scheduled to do the following week, and that's just not how I do things. I get out here, and as I mentioned before, I find inspiration, and then I go to work on it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not trying to be coy here. I honestly don't know what I have coming up next. Hopefully I'll have fun doing it. That's all I really care about.
Sounds like me not knowing what project I'm going to do next. Half the time I don't know until I make that first cut. So yeah, I can relate to that. So tell us, Chris, do you have any other hobbies?
Well, I've had a number of hobbies over the years. I've always been into model making, even when I was a kid. I mean, I guess most kids, well, at least most kids during my time of being a child, were into building models. But when I was a child, my brother, the one that's closest to me, he and I used to make a lot of model rockets. And I rediscovered a passion for that when my son was born, and he became, 7, 8, 9 years old. I got his interest into that. So I got back into model rocketry, and I've designed and built and flown and retrieved, by the way. That's an important part of this. Gosh, probably close to 30, 40 different types of rockets that I've designed and flown myself. So yeah, at one point in time, I was geeking out on model rocketry, and I would still be doing it today, except where I live. Obviously, all these trees around here, there's not much of a place to launch a rocket and expect to receive it back again. So I've kind of put that hobby on hold. But for a long time, yeah, I did that, a lot of model work.
Cool. I've always wanted to give that a go, to be honest. I don't know of any rocket areas here in New Zealand, although we do have Rocket Lab. You can look that one up on the internet. So come on, Chris, tell us a fun fact about yourself. Maybe something that we don't know about you. It's not publicly knowledge, but you don't mind letting people know.
A fun fact about me. I don't know. Jeez. I assume you mean something that people don't ordinarily know about me. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty trivial, but I, in my youth, was an Olympian.
Okay.
I should clarify that, though. I was a junior Olympian. I didn't go to the actual, hardcore Olympics. I wasn't good enough. But I did make it to the Junior Olympics, where I placed third all around in gymnastics. I was a gymnast for much of my youth. And I spent some serious time, working out doing gymnastics. And I actually got fairly decent at it. I mean, I got good enough to grab a bronze, but not good enough to make it all the way. Let's put it that way. So yeah, people may not know that about me. Yeah, I spent a lot of time as a gymnast as a youth.
That surprised me. I didn't know that one. So do you have anything else you want to add to finish up on? Just, anything you want to say?
Well, I don't know that, I don't want to get on a pulpit and, stand on a soapbox too much. But, everything that I do now is geared towards helping others. And I learned the lesson a hard way. Now, granted, I made a good living for myself, and I turned a lot of that time that I was making that living, I was focusing all the attention on myself. But it wasn't until later on in my career that I discovered that I didn't like the person I was becoming. And so I decided to devote the rest of my professional career towards helping others. And surprisingly enough, because I didn't expect it, it wasn't a move that I did financially for any reason, but I became more successful than I ever had by doing that. So I do a lot of motivational stuff with my YouTube channel. I mean, my channel name itself is, I try to help. I hope that it helps inspire people to get out there and get started. So if I had anything else to add today, it would be to people that were maybe afraid, apprehensive, whatever the case may be, about getting started. And it could be anything. It could be making, it could be woodworking, it could be, whatever it is in life. Don't sit and wait. You got one life to live. You've only got so much time on this earth. Go make the most of it. Jump in with both feet. Yes, you're going to make a mistake. In some cases, you may even make an idiot of yourself. But get over it. Don't worry about it. It's all part of the learning process. My advice to anybody who's looking to get started in anything or is being a little apprehensive about it is kick yourself in the butt. Get off your chair, quit your, hemming and hawing, and get out there and do it. Even if the first time you do it, it stinks. Do it again. The second time, it will stink less. The third time, it will stink even less. The fourth time you do it, it may start looking good. The fifth time, sixth, seventh, eighth time, by the time you get to the 10th time of doing something, you're all of a sudden going to find, and you'll look back and you would say, why was I ever afraid to start this? It will happen. It happens to everybody who does it, and if you ask anybody within this community, they'll tell you the same thing. If you have apprehension about starting, then stop apprehending and get started. That's the only way stuff gets done. Like I say in my videos, every one of them, get out in your shops, make that first cut, and get something done. Because until you do make that first cut, you're not going to finish a thing. So get out there and do it.
Hey Chris, thanks so much for doing this and being part of it all and doing the interview with me.
Oh, please. Thank you for asking. I'm very flattered and humbled that you would. So yeah, I had a good time today. Thank you so much. I had a good time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And remember to click the notification bell icon. That way you'll be notified when I upload a new video. You can find us on most social media, including Google+, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram. Please also consider supporting me on Patreon. See you next time.
don't forget to go and make something.